Recording in progress.
Good afternoon, everybody. I know we talked on Saturday after the game. We were certainly pleased to get a victory, and I just really think Holy Cross is a good football team. And a lot of people probably look at victories over FCS programs as gimmies, but I didn't at all feel like it was going to be a game like that, and it certainly turned out to not be one like that. We had to fight all the way to the end to beat them, and just really a good, well-coached football team that ran the ball very effectively. That quarterback is a really special player for them. So for us, it was a big win, and one that we desperately needed, and to get two in a row after that stretch that we had was really a positive for us. So I was proud of our guys and just the special teams and how they came up with some plays, and certainly our defense, the big goal line stand that really that iced the game for us. So really proud of the guys and how they played and how hard they fought offensively. Obviously didn't score as much as we'd hoped we would. Had some opportunities, had it down there on the 1 yard line, and didn't get it in. That was disappointing, but did move the football at times and get ourselves in position. So hopefully we'll continue to improve in every phase, and we're going to need to against Coastal Carolina. They're what a tremendous football team. They've been the talk of college football the last few years. Just the success that they've had as a program, and Coach Beck has continued that. They're on a 5-game winning streak and really playing good football, athletic and fast, and just a lot of respect for this team. So we're going to have to get ready and play better than we have to have a chance to win.
Start with Rich. Go ahead.
Okay, Coach. Rich DeMarco, Army Radio. This senior class, what have they meant to you as the head coach here?
Oh, the seniors are just a great group of guys. It's the largest group that we've had since I've been here, and just so many of the players. It'd be hard to go through one by one and talk about all of them, but they've played in 2 bowl games. They've won Commander-in-Chief's trophy, and in this season have done just a really good job of leading this football team. This hasn't been the easiest season for us. We've had a stretch there in the middle of the season where it was tough and it's frustrating. And as I said, as good as the teams that we were playing were, all the Power 5 games and the conference champions, and it's a challenge. But to lose those games, nobody in our locker room and our team meeting room here is thinking, well, we're supposed to lose to those guys. They're a Power 5 program or whatever it may be. They want to win, and they work really hard, and our guys practice really hard, and they've continued to do that. And the resiliency of this team and the fight that's remained in this team, evident in the last 2 weeks, is because of their leadership. So it's a great senior class, and obviously a lot of really good players that have made a lot of plays for us over the years, and they're like every senior class, they're going to be missed. But hopefully we're going to play really well as a team and give them a great memory this Saturday for the last time in Michie Stadium.
What would you like the fans to show them when they show up for senior day and you go down the line and you're congratulating each of them and their family?
I think I just am glad when fans show up and they're here to support our team. I thought it was a great crowd on Saturday, and that was awesome to see, to be able to come home off of that road trip to Denver and have a great crowd for our guys. So really, they're going to be recognized before the game, and I think that's more for their families and for their loved ones that'll be there than it is anybody. The Corps cadets there to recognize their company mates that are out there being honored as seniors. But I'd love for there just to be a big crowd, and we can use a home crowd and the help to help fuel our spirit and our energy to try to win a football game.
Connor, go ahead on Zoom.
Okay, Charles, you can start us off.
Good afternoon, Coach Charles Grievous from GoBlackKnights.com. Once again, you're going up against an elite offense, having a more than capable quarterback under center. What do you see in the Coastal Carolinas offense, and what do they do well?
So they're very multiple, and of course Grayson McCall, who's the great quarterback, and I'm certain will have an opportunity to play football beyond college. That kid has just been unbelievable. He's been injured, and I don't know what his status is going to be for this week. But they're a little bit different with the other quarterback, and they've played three. But all three of those guys are good players, and so what is apparent with their football team is how athletic and how fast they are. They get the ball on the perimeter. They do a really good job of running the football effectively in between the tackles. They've got a number of very talented receivers on offense, and they've recruited that offensive line, Coach Chadwell, to play in that system, and really they're a little different with Coach Beck, but not way off from what they have been. A team that's very effective at running the football. And Coach Beck's an outstanding coach. He's got a resume and a career in college football that speaks for itself, and so just really impressed with those guys. I wish they weren't that good on offense, but they are. They're taking the ball up and down the field, and they're scoring a lot of points, and it's going to be a great challenge for our defense.
Great. And speaking of offense, over the past few weeks, wide receiver Isaiah Austin has remained out of the lineup, and the running back Aiden Reed, abbreviated out, if you will. Needless to say, both add outstanding value to your offense. What is the expectation of them playing on Saturday against Coastal Carolina?
Well, both of those guys are outstanding players, and we miss having them in the lineup. And we're hopeful for both of those guys. We don't yet know this early in the week just what their status is going to be, but both are a lot closer than they have been, and so I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I hope we'll have them to practice later this week, and we'll see what's going to happen on Saturday. Just not sure at this time, Charles.
Great. And my follow-up and final question, with the penalties that seem to be consistent over the last few games, especially with the offensive line, how difficult is it to realistically to diagnose that during the week, during the practice week, and trying to fix it, especially against a tough opponent like Coastal Carolina?
The ones that really hurt us were the holding penalties, and it was 3 holding penalties, and it was the same player on all 3. And I don't need to mention his name. If you watch the TV broadcast, you know who it was, and he's a good player. But he was holding, and we got to do a good job of training him and training the rest of our guys to not hold when they block. And it happens a lot. If you watch the game closely, holding happens a lot in football. And sometimes they see it and throw a flag, and sometimes they don't. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we've got to learn to be able to block without grabbing and pulling. And a guy gets away from you, and you're straining, and you're trying to keep him blocked, and sometimes you get a handful of jersey or a shoulder pad when you should. And it's fundamentals, and those need to improve so that we don't have those penalties. Those penalties are, all 3 drives we had penalties or holding penalties. We didn't score on any of them, and one of them was the goal line stand that they had against us. We scored on the first play, and he was holding on the first play, and we backed up and got it right back up there on the 2-yard line, and weren't able to punch it in. But we've got to be able to block without doing that, and that goes to the perimeter as well. The guys out there blocking for the pitches and the passes, and we got to be able to block and keep our hands active and not hold. So hopefully we'll do a better job of that this week. It's frustrating to have the penalties that we have. The last couple of weeks we've been penalized more than probably we have all year. But I think there's a difference in penalties. There's aggressive penalties, and sometimes those happen. A guy just playing hard, and then there's foolish penalties. And the foolish penalties are the ones that we have to avoid, and because they really are controlled by us. It doesn't have anything to do with playing hard. Sometimes it's just using poor fundamentals or making a poor decision, or guy jumps off sides or lines up in the neutral zone or whatever that may be. That's a silly penalty that we can control.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Charles.
We'll go to Ken McMillan.
Hi, Jeff. Ken McMillan from the Times-Herald Record. Jeff, it's the nature of college sports, but every year you have to send off seniors. What's it like to send off these people?
Well, there's still 2 games left, so we're not having any group crying sessions or anything like that. We got a game to play, and I love our players. I love these seniors. I'm as close to them as anybody on the team. They've been here the longest. We recruited all these guys to come and play in our program, and we're unique now in college football, and that everybody we've got has grown up and developed in our program. They've been here for 4 years, 5 years. Some of them went to the prep school before they came here, and so we've grown really close with these guys, and they've grown close with each other. So they're special to us, but more than anything, on their last on their last game in Michie Stadium, I'd like to see them get a victory. So we got to do a great job preparing and practicing and readying our football team to try to give them a send-off that's going to be memorable.
Jeff, what have you folks done better the past 2 weeks that might have been missing in the weeks prior?
Well, certainly against Air Force, defensively, we tackled better. We had the fewest missed tackles that we've had all year, so that was certainly a positive. Against Air Force, we were able to run the football and move the football against them and get ourselves in scoring position. That was certainly an improvement in the first half, especially. Saturday we got the ball in position a couple of times. Obviously, the throw to Casey down there to the 1 yard line, and then not coming up with points, but we were in scoring position. Had it down there again, the drive where we kicked the field goal. Really, I think if we get the ball pushed outside there, the one where Bryson carried it to the right-hand side and kind of stuck it up in there for just a couple yards. Probably if he keeps it outside, he might score a touchdown there. I think we had some opportunities to turn those drives into touchdown drives, and that's been improved. That's better. We played good on special teams. The block punt was huge, and the way Moretsky's been able to handle his duties and kicking those field goals, that's been the difference in the last 2 football games, hitting 3 against Air Force and hitting a clutch field goal on Saturday. So obviously our defense and the way they've played, just their production and keeping teams out of the end zone for, well, the entire Air Force game and the first 3 quarters of this past week's game. It's a great job by them of keeping our football team in the game by playing great defense.
And Jeff, I know the talk's going to be about Army-Navy for the next couple of weeks, but can you tell us, what are your thoughts about the development of your young players? I see Jake Rendina saw action for a second time the other day. How are the young players doing, and would you anticipate any more of these young players to make some debuts or some impact?
I don't know that there's other guys that are kind of popping up, but there's a good bunch of guys that are in the freshman class that I think are going to be good players and are already helping us some this year, but have a really bright future. And I notice when we go to the hotel and our Friday night meal, our freshmen get up there first to eat, and I start counting the freshmen. There's a lot more freshmen right now that are going through the dinner line than there were at the very beginning of the year. And some of those guys that are there are playing a good number of snaps. I think very successful teams are often built on veteran players, juniors and seniors, and so I hope that we'll always be a team that, excuse me, that will have veteran players in position to be able to carry the load. But there's always going to be those young guys that come along that have enough ability, that are physically developed, that can contribute. So there's some guys that are showing up, and I don't know if there'll be new guys over the next 2 weeks, but perhaps you may see the freshmen that have been playing a little bit more.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Ken.
We'll go to Ken Kreitzer.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Two players that stand out, two of your seniors, Jacoby Buchanan and Tyson Riley. The last game's coming up at Michie Stadium. Prototypical fullbacks, perhaps not part of the future and the offense, the big fullback you've had. Tell us a little bit about their career and the role and changing role of the fullback in the new offense.
They've both had great careers for us and have meant a lot to this program. And they've both played very well this year, unselfishly, kind of moving into different roles within the offense. Tyson is essentially an H-back or a tight end, and he's just done a great job with that. He's a very athletic player, and been very pleased with the job that he's done. Jacoby's taken on a role as a blocker, and that's not something that probably through his career that we felt like was a strong suit for him. He's a runner and runs through tackles and was hard to bring down, and he's still that kind of runner. But he's evolved into being a very effective blocker and has really taken a lot of pride in that. So been just really happy with both of those guys and their attitude, and hopefully they'll have a great game this Saturday and continue into the last one, helping our team win.
We saw Coastal opening game last year down in Myrtle Beach. And Grayson McCall, what a career. 88 touchdown passes. He had 10,000 yards passing. You mentioned he may not be playing, but they've got Jarrett Guest and Ethan Vasco. Both have got some solid throwing stats. Coastal, obviously a good throwing team, but also a good rushing team on offense. They seem pretty balanced.
They are, and they do a good job with all of it. It's why they're on a 5-game winning streak and 7-3, and they're positioned right now. They got a chance to play for the conference championship again. They were in the conference championship a year ago against Troy, and both very good football teams. Both very good football teams again this year. We obviously had a chance to face Troy earlier in the year and didn't fare so well for us, and hopefully it'll be better this Saturday against Coastal. But they are a good football team and a balanced offense, and I think that's a reflection of Coach Beck and his philosophy, and longtime offensive coordinator and very successful, and so they've done a nice job this year.
And just looking at their defense, they've got a safety, Clayton Isbell, 63 tackles, and Michael Mason, a defensive lineman who's got 61 tackles, also 6 sacks. Are teams preparing for you differently now that you're not entirely a option team like in the past?
Yes, I believe they are, and so that's part of the challenge for us is balancing, the plays that we run that are not option based with the option plays that we have, and we've throughout the year thrown RPOs and got the ball pitched some, and did that on Saturday. Ran some option plays. Pitch went out there to T-Rob for a touchdown on Saturday. So it's balancing that, and Ken, I knew that we were going to look a lot more like everybody else this year than we ever have, and that's part of the challenge for us. But that also, as I've said, you get a little better idea of what you're going to be facing defensively when you line up and do things a little more traditional, whatever traditional football is now. So I think it's probably for defenses when they face us a little bit more like they've been able to defend other people.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Ken.
We're all set, everybody. Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.
Have a good day, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eric.